I think it all just like combusted on me to the point where I didn't even enjoy anything anymore. My name is Leah Ramsey. I have previously been a model, I suppose an influencer. I have my degree in marketing. I've worked with many businesses in marketing, and currently at the moment I am on a bit of a hiatus from that as I am a mum of a now toddler, and I've had a bit of an identity shift. So before having a child, I would say I was very self-aware, self-confident, and I definitely had a strong sense of self-identity. When I became a mum for the first time, that completely shifted. I had a real struggle with who I was, what my purpose was. I did suffer from intrusive thoughts, and these were things that I didn't really understand or recognize, and I genuinely felt very miserable in this new life that I was living. So it took me about a year to sort of grasp that something was definitely wrong and out of my control, and that I didn't have any sort of skill set to cope or deal with these situations. So basically, as soon as I had my son, I just didn't know what I was doing. And I don't think any amount of reading or books or education or information, anything can prepare you for that experience of postpartum. And there's this really interesting quote where they say postpartum is you can never explain it, you have to experience it. And it was a huge experience for me, not in a positive way though.
Tell us about the actual emotions that you're experiencing when you were in postpartum. What did it feel like?
So for me, when I was first in that deep, dark postpartum hole, I didn't even think I cracked a smile. I couldn't even look anyone in the eye. I couldn't relate to my husband. I couldn't even have a conversation with him. I had a lot of resentment towards him. I had a lot of resentment to people I saw on social media that made it look so easy, because I found it such a challenge. At the same time that I was going through this lifestyle change, I didn't really have any support from family. My mum had a nervous breakdown, so she was basically my support person, and then she turned into someone who essentially is like a child herself now, and I couldn't rely on. So I was pulled from two different directions, from two different, different identities and different impacts, and I think it all just like combusted on me to the point where I didn't even enjoy anything anymore. It was a really interesting experience because I had that aspect side of my mum, like she's had this nervous breakdown, she's mentally unwell now, she's got extreme anxiety, depression, and was acting completely like a stranger, out of character. And then I was supposed to be enjoying this bubble with my new baby that everyone's like, oh, are you having such an amazing time? And I'm like, no, I'm struggling with this, and I'm having this person who I thought would be like my sidekick and mentor me on how to be a mum is just vanished. So for me, I had a lot of disappointment and resentment, which was starting to brew within me.
Yeah, what was the resentment feeling for you?
I had resentment towards my husband. I just felt like his life was the same and mine had done a complete 360. I felt like because I would always work off my own time. I can go to the gym when I want, I can just pop out to the shops. I was very independent, and now I was bound to just sort of being at home and being responsible, ideally for this baby alone. And my husband, he is amazing, but he works a lot and he's away a lot. So I felt very lonely in this journey, which I suppose caused that resentment. Yeah. Almost like not even a jealousy thing. It's just a bit like you're mourning the person you used to be and mourning all of the, luxuries that you had previously. I'm still 2.5 years deep and I haven't slept a full night, I slept on the floor last night of my son's room from 2 till 4, like, oh.
It's never ending.
No, it doesn't. You're never clocked off.
No.
I think that still my identity is still shifting and still changing. I don't think I'll ever be the same person I used to be. And you know what? I have to take that as a positive, that you do grow and change and you become responsible and your priorities change, and that's just a part of growing up and getting older and, you know, different lifestyles. So I'm excited for the new chapter. It took me a long time though, and a lot of hard work to get here, to be in this space mentally, because before then, you know, I was just waiting for this to end. I was like, when is this going to get better? When is this going to end? I was just counting down the days. But when you're a mum or responsible for other people in your life, there is no end date, and you're supposed to actually enjoy it. And that's what I struggled to get to.
Yeah.
I will say that I find with motherhood, and especially in relation to social media, a lot of people aren't truthful. You get the smoke and mirrors and you get everyone saying how easy it is, so you don't expect it to be such a challenge. You don't see you're up 24/7, you know, you can't breastfeed, you're not producing any milk, it's painful, you know, you're prolapsing. Like, there's so many different things that are a part of it, and that no one shares that.
Yeah.
All your friends just go, you'll love it.
Yeah. So
well, you didn't tell me about this, this and this.
Yeah, they're like, what did you do to help your situation?
So I definitely knew something was wrong from the get-go. I just was completely detached from myself, and I just could not, I couldn't relate to the person that I was or where I was going. I just couldn't really find a common ground of stability almost. And I didn't really know where to go from here. I knew that I wanted to do sort of some talk therapy, but then again, like, I always would lean on my friends and talk to them about it, but then you don't want to burden all your friends with all your problems, and like, they're going through their own stuff, like they're in the same boat as you, so no one wants to have this big like negative dump of my issues on them. Like, I think that's quite unfair. And I remember going to a doctor and getting a mental health plan, getting my sessions, and I didn't really know where to go from there, because I was with this baby 24/7. Like, I couldn't get to any I couldn't take him in the car. He screamed in the car. I had anxiety 24/7. I couldn't drive anywhere, and I just didn't know how I was going to manage. So I was like trying to take the steps forward, but I couldn't get to where I needed to be to implement changes and, you know, get better. And one of my friends, she introduced me to MeHelp, which is psychology through telehealth and online. And I just thought, this is exactly what I need, because I can fit this in with anything that I'm doing. I can do it while I'm walking the pram, I can do it when the baby's sleeping, I can do it in the car. It was ideal for my situation. Ultimately, like, I didn't have any skills to deal with, you know, poor mental health or feel like how I was feeling. I didn't know what to do because I've never experienced this before. And the sessions I had with the psychologist, she was so great. She was so relatable. I remember I think I did like a discovery call and answered a bunch of questions, and they teed me up with someone who was most suitable for my needs. And the psychologist I was paired with was incredible. She understood what I was saying. She had been in a similar situation. She could relate to what I was saying. She taught me so many different tools and skills to overcome stress and anxiety, and how to deal with people around me that cause stress and anxiety. And I still to this day use those tools. We're at like a 2.5 year point now where I've done so much work on myself. I look at the situation I was in 1.5 years ago in hindsight, and I cannot believe I did not do something about it earlier. And where I'm sitting now, I'm in such a happy, content, stable place. I was, you know, before I was stressed, anxious, angry, reactive, just nothing of what I was genuinely as a person. It was like I was a completely different person, completely out of character. And now I actually can see myself again as who I am, which is like quite calm and rational and reasonable and happy and joyful. It was just the best thing was just like learning different skill sets, like just even small things like how to have conversations with people that stress you out, like You know, you don't have to go into depth. You can keep it short and sharp, like things I know. But I would just get sucked into bad habits, and it was really good to have like someone reaffirm what is healthy for me to be doing to, you know, ideally get the outcome that I want, which is not to be stressed, anxious, and unhappy. I think especially postpartum, like the boundaries are gone. They just disappear. You're like so vulnerable. You don't know what you're doing. You're just like relying on like anyone to sort of lean on, and even if it's like not healthy.
I don't know if you experienced sort of that brain fog. Was that sort of part of the...
I wasn't thinking clearly forever. I couldn't even, like, I'd put my phone in the fridge. Like, I was just, even just like simple things. I couldn't figure out how to put formula in a bottle. Like, I couldn't connect the dots. It was crazy. It was so strange. And to think that I was going out there in the real world and having no guidance and you just need someone to stop you and say, take a breath.
Yeah.
Even though you know this, but sometimes you really, and like I'm a very, you know, capable person, but at this point in time in my life, I was not capable of anything. I couldn't do anything. I was just like in this miserable bubble.
Now that you know what you know, what would have you done sooner?
What would I have done sooner? Yeah. I think basically, in hindsight, if I look back on how I was, what I would have done differently is I think I would have been a little bit kinder to myself. I tried to just mask it, or I suppose just do everything, when I wish I, now looking back, took a step back and was like, okay, hold on. Talk about it with someone. You know, you don't need to be struggling alone. Like you can find a solution. And I think it's about dedicating the time, because that self-care is really important, because if you're not good, then, you know, it really ricochets onto everyone else and ripples through all your different relationships with everyone and work, everything. I genuinely believe it needs to be aware of these platforms and things that you can do, because it is life-changing. It truly is. And like, I'm standing here saying that as my perspective.
Tell us about what life is like now, what you sort of hope to be like in the future.
I just think ultimately at the end of the day, I want to be a good role model. I want to be a good support system for my family. I want to be someone my husband can lean on, someone my child can lean on. I don't want to be detrimental. I don't want to be a burden. I want to be standing on my own 2 feet and feeling confident and, I suppose, like, independent.